ragamuffin keep on rising to the top. Ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. International, what they call me international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm when I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place where they want Jamalski. Jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. Chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. International, when me ride palm rhythm and I move with the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Body me on the place where they want Jamalski.
Yes. What is going on, everybody? Joshua Casper, Plugin Boutique, back at you with another dev stream. Everybody say what's up, say where you're coming in from, where you're tuning in from. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat. Love to see it. Data Collaborate, welcome back. Homeless Balloon. What a wonderful, wonderful screen name. I like it. Fog Various, another great screen name. Jeweler Del Rocket. Oh man, I need to be more creative with my screen names. I just tend to put Joshua. Anyway, today, extra special stream. We're going to be talking about binaural audio, ambisonics, and spatial audio. These are topics that I am not 100% up on, but I'm excited to learn about with our guest today, Dear Reality. They've got a number of plugins that specialize in this sort of thing, and they are going to walk us through not only those plugins specifically, but the topics in general, and I'm incredibly excited to learn about it. As I said, we are doing some giveaways as usual, but it's not as usual because Dear Reality have been absolute legends, and we're going to be able to give away a pair of Sennheiser HD 400 Pro headphones. Those are some nice headphones. I wish I had them, but unfortunately I can't win this contest. So we're going to be giving away plugins and those Sennheiser headphones, and all you need to do to win is be active and positive in the chat. Fire off some questions about Dear Reality, about their plugins, or about any of these topics that we're going to be covering today, specifically binaural audio, ambisonics, and spatial audio. Lots to get into, so definitely keep the questions coming. We're going to get those asked live on stream, but for now, let's go ahead and bring in my guests. We've got Christian Sander, who's the co-CEO and founder of Dear Reality, and Janis Käune. I'm not going to say it right, so perhaps you can... How do you say it, Janis?
It's Janis Käune.
Käune. All right.
Yes.
Who is the technical application engineer over there on the Dear Reality team. Fellas, why don't you take a moment to maybe introduce yourselves, your role at the company, and then from there we'll jump into the more general topics we're going to be covering today.
Yes. Yeah, maybe I'll start. Christian Sander, co-founder of Dear Reality, worked as a sound engineer, software developer before, and then founded Dear Reality in 2014. Yeah, we really specialize in spatial audio, create spatializer plugins, virtual monitoring plugins that we will talk about today for stereo, but also multi-channel monitoring. We will also talk about spatial reverb plugin. And also we create like VR controllers for spatial productions. Yeah, again, we're like a company of 15 people working mainly on software development, no hardware, but fortunately we're very proud to be part of Sennheiser Group since 2019. So there are someone who's pretty good at doing hardware, and we focus on our software development. That's my introduction.
Yes, hi. As we said, I'm Janis, and I've been at Dear Reality for like 3.5 years now. I'm a technical applications engineer here, so I'm very deep into the technical side of things, of the plugins, how to use them in the real world, what the best ways are to use our plugins. Stuff like that. You can usually also meet me at a lot of trade fairs where we are. That's my job here.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us on stream, both of you. You've got quite the professional-looking setup over there. I'm quite jealous. I mean, it looks like a radio studio, to be honest.
Spontaneously set up.
I think the best place to start, because including myself, these are sort of new topics and what I would call buzzwords in the industry. I mean, they have been around for quite some time, but I see a lot of these words getting thrown around these days, like binaural, spatial audio. I think perhaps the best way to start before we jump into your plugins is just to get general ideas out of the way, sort of, the vocab, what we're going to be talking about. So when we do start looking and listening to your plugins, we'll have a base foundation. So what I'm going to do is flip over to your desktop, where I believe you've got some slides that will help us get through these topics.
Yep. So generally, quick introduction into 3D audio, spatial audio, or immersive audio. They're like different names, as you might know. It all is about like recreating a sound field that you synthetically create or want to reproduce from a real scenario. And today, and what Dear Reality is very specialized in, is binaural audio. Maybe we will start with a very quick demo sound of it, how it will sound. Please make sure to wear headphones. That's very helpful for today's session.
Yes, I'll quickly give a small sample of what binaural audio is. We will have a small lead vocal sound, which we will pan around you, as in binaural audio it is done.
Kids, I guess, but
so there's just a mono sound in the middle, and
now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can.
Yeah.
This is a small sample of how binaural audio can sound.
So I've got a question right off the bat.
Yes.
In that plugin, it looked like you were panning to the right, but the audio went to the left. And it's because you're mimicking the head and how the head would turn. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was just, originally we didn't want to share the screen for that already and have the slide there, but that's just for the demo purpose of what is binaurally generally, and I think then we later get deeper into that monitoring plugin, I would say. But if you're fine, I would catch up more with the generic topic of spatial audio, because I think one important thing is really that spatial audio includes binaural audio on the one hand, but also on the other hand, multi-channel audio that I think everyone might know from Dolby Atmos. That is, as you also might know already, streamable through Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon Music, and so on. So it's for more than 1.5 years, I think it became pretty big, especially also for music production. I mean, in the movie world, it was already pretty big. And then we also have Ambisonics, which is kind of a spherical scene format. So you can say a multi-channel and Ambisonics are scene-based spatial audio formats. So you have like a scene that you recreate. And binaural audio is something we call or that is called object-based, because you really have like one source that you can position anywhere. And that is also played back through headphones, which is pretty important. Multi-channel and also Ambisonics can be played back through loudspeakers. You need a proper speaker setup and so on. So this is like an important difference everyone needs to understand before it gets more complicated, because if you don't have the 7.1.4 speakers set up and can afford all the speakers, you could, of course, simulate each of these speakers binaurally. And this is what our virtual monitoring solutions do, that you can listen to these setups with your headphones. And yeah, I think we will later look into that deeper. Maybe one quick thing to make clear about binaural audio, that everyone understands it. Binaural audio is created through a head-related transfer function that simulates the natural hearing. So the natural hearing, of course, comes through interaural time differences. That means if Janis is speaking to me, the sound arrives first on my right ear and then on my left ear. So there's a kind of time delay through the speed of sound. And then, of course, there's like a level difference, because my face also prevents some higher frequencies to come to the left ear. So there's like an interaural level difference also. Mm-hmm. And these are like also spatial cues, like my ear form has some resonances and so on. And all these things together creates the impression, if I simulate it properly, that my brain thinks, oh, the sound is really coming from the right side. And this is like the very basics of binaural audio.
Right. So the TLDR is, it's not just panning it to the left or the right. There's a lot of math going behind it to simulate what it would sound like if you had essentially speakers and sound sources all around you.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
absolutely.
Fantastic. So
really
you're
want to
saying
recreate it.
With these plugins, you could do the 5.1 or the 7.1, maybe get started with that sort of mix just in your headphones before you even need to implement the actual sound system in a room.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can really monitor the whole mix already with headphones. You can also, that's what we already spoilered a bit, have a knob for head rotation. So you hear how it would sound if you move your head a bit to the side. That's what you always do, even in the stereo mix. Sometimes rotate the head a little bit, how it feels in the mix. So that's quite important to really be able to judge the mix, even if you're not in a multi-channel story, or even if you're not in a proper stereo mixing room or on the road. You don't have a stereo speaker setup for that. We have like these virtual monitoring solutions, which is Dirvia Mix, where you can quickly jump through different scenes. You have like different studios, also different acoustic scenes. Yeah, we will take a look into it in a second, I would say.
Wonderful. Well, I think unless there's other definitions that we should define now, I'm happy to jump in and get started with the audio.
Yeah. Maybe let's quickly, if you at least the last slide. Yeah.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So let's start with Exoverb. It's our latest release. We released it on Plugin Boutique this November. We're very happy about that. It's a stereo plugin that enables spatial cues into your stereo production. So after all the discussions, you need headphones and so on. We're stepping a bit back before we later look into the virtual monitoring solutions, that we have like a stereo reverb that adds a spatial depth into your normal stereo mix. So we took parts of our technology that you can add in your normal stereo mix and create a depth that you usually wouldn't be able to do with other reverbs. And from that, I would hand over to Janis, I would say.
All right. Let's dive into the session. I have a Little Rock song where you heard the lead vocals like a second ago. And I will start also with soloing these and show you the plugin, how it's looking, what you can do with it.
Kids, I guess,
you should. Oh, I need to reset this. I'm sorry. The head rotation should be here. All right. So we have our lead vocal in the center, as usual, and this plugin, basically the main feature of it is this triangle pad. Because with this triangle pad, you have the ability to smoothly set between dry and wet in this axis, and between early and late level of the reverb on this axis. So it's very easy and intuitive to set the right amount of reverb. I'll just fire it up and move the cursor around so you can hear a little bit more what's going on here.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can, but who gives a shit? Holding on to the memory. So
as you can see, it's very easy to smoothly blend between these 3 points. And after we did that, we can also have various other settings changed here. Of course, standard stuff, as the size of the room, a little bit of pre-delay, a decay of the reverb, the width. But a very special feature is this depth button, which pushes your source into the back of the room, basically. So it's like a 3-dimensional view of the room, and you have it at the front if I turn it down to 0. And if you need the source to move to the back of the room, you can just turn this up. And I will show you this again by just playing the source and then pushing it into the back.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can, but who gives a shit? Holding on.
And this 3-dimensional way of thinking the reverb, that's one of the key features of this plugin. Of course, we have various different rooms, ambiences, halls, plates. They're do you know the exact number of presets we have? 36, something like that.
40 something, 45.
Yeah, something
By
in that way.
presets, you mean different room types?
Yes. Yeah. Different virtual acoustics we incorporated in this reverb. So I can just simply also sit this vocal into a concert hall. How much sense that makes is another topic, but just so you can hear some of the rooms.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can, but who gives a shit? Holding on to the memory. So many days I wish it never had come to this. I hope he doesn't love a lot like me. I hope you find what you're looking for, whatever.
And again, it's pretty easy to I just did it. I felt, okay, the gold plate has too much reverb. I can just push it with the triangle pad up here, and then it just very intuitively the amount of reverb I want to use on this one.
Love it.
So I'm just gonna play the whole song. I will also go into the drums a little bit because I have Exoverb on here too. And I will solo the drum and play around with that a little bit, so you just get an impression of the reverb itself.
All right.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters.
Oh. Yeah, so maybe you want a little bit of room sound, but not so much reverb. You can simply, drag this on the triangle pad and use it to blend the reverb as you wish. Just some additional things. Of course, we have different EQs on down here. I didn't mention that yet. So you can not only put an EQ on the sum of late reverb, early refractions, and the dry signal, but you can also individually put an EQ on just the reflections or the late reverb. So you still have a lot of options on tweaking the reverb itself.
Wonderful. I've got a few questions to get through if you want.
Yes.
All right. First question. For Dear Reality Pro, the input looks like it takes its audio from the left or right side only. Is it possible to do stereo or multi-channel inputs? Master DL Styles is wondering.
He's talking about Devia Pro. Did I get that right?
It says Dear Reality Pro, so I'm
Dear
probably...
Reality Pro. Okay. That's probably another plugin. In that specific plugin, we don't do multi-channel inputs. It can take mono or stereo input, although it folds down the stereo input to a mono source because you have best localization then. But you can choose which of the channels you want. You can do left, right, or blend of the two.
Gotcha. That's just because that's the best way to get the effect of the plugins is by handling it that way, obviously.
Yeah, the problem with stereo sources is if you use 2 points in your 3D environment, depending on how you're sitting, it can fall down to like a small... It comes a little bit from the interactive world. So if you like move between 2 points in your 3D environment, it can fall down just to a small line. I'm not sure if that was understandable, but
no, it is. Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it's best for localization to just fold it down. There are, of course, applications where you want to do this, to have this effect, or where you want like a broader wall of sound for like a stereo source, but it's not incorporated into the plugin yet.
Gotcha. Yui Kuhlman is wondering or saying that for binaural audio, it's important to be able to move the audio behind the person who's listening. Do your plugins facilitate that functionality?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely. So we will in a few minutes look into the monitoring plugins, especially DirVia Monitor, which as I said can simulate or virtualize a speaker set of up to 9.1.6 speakers. That of course includes also speakers behind you. So we have like all directions that we can simulate, plus the head rotation, so you can virtually rotate your head to hear like the right side speaker behind you and check how that behaves. Yeah.
Gotcha. Christoph Schaefer is wondering, is it possible to model customer-specific HRTFs?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Not yet. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, that's something customized HRTF, something that also even Apple tackles with on their consumer side, that you can have like individual HRTFs. There's also file formats called SOFA files where you can save them, but it's still not so easy. And of course, it's a closed system that you have there at Apple, so it's pretty hard to get customized HRTFs. So we didn't implement that yet, but of course we have our eyes on that topic as soon as there's a good solution that really enables that.
One problem, maybe to just add to that, the problem is that usually in plugins like ours, or also in other plugins, or in the Dolby Atmos renderer or stuff like that, you have like a general set of HRTF, so like a generalization of all human ears, which of course works for some humans better than for others. And this custom-made HRTFs would really simulate your own ear, which has a localization that is even better than the general one. Just to add to the background.
Gotcha. Another good question here from Data Collaborate, and that is, these plugins, would you say they're designed for audio engineers working in the film industry, or is there some use cases for people who are, they use the term bedroom producer or just music production in general?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So Exoverb is definitely works pretty well, I would say, especially for bedroom producers, because it's quite simple. So as you've seen in the triangle, you intuitively can switch between a few of the most important parameters, like early, late levels, and direct to dry signals. So this is like, I think, super simple to create this depth, the spatial depth that we have here, even for, as we already mentioned, for normal stereo productions. That could also be in a movie. I think that was the first part of the question, if they can also use it there.
Yeah.
So definitely that makes sense if you want to create a special depth or layer or sound behind something, even on a stereo setup. That works pretty well if you keep like the vocals on the front and put everything a bit more into Exoverb, then it gets more behind it.
In the end, it's all about, we want to get 3D audio, like we want to make it accessible for everyone. But so in that case, it's of course designed for bedroom producers because the plugin should be very easy to use. But on the other hand, we are looking a lot on quality of our plugins. So also in film applications or high-level music productions, our plugins can and should be used.
All right. A couple of questions about headphones here. One is from Michael Hopkins, wondering if there are specific headphone profiles that you can load. And I suppose, it might be good to jump into maybe the VR one that you have, so we can talk about this, because that's probably where this is all going to go from. But exactly. One, if there are specific headphones profiles, and two, if there are recommended headphones to use while using these plugins.
About headphones, in general, open back headphones work pretty well, also in-ears. But in our DVR Mix, which is our virtual control room, so if you don't have a perfect control room at home, for example, for bedroom producers, you can use our plugin I'm losing the word. Confidently mix on your headphones. Headphones in general have some problems, like the abnormal wide stereo image, and this we tackle with this virtual control room where your loudspeakers are placed using binaural audio as they are placed in a real studio. So we also incorporate headphone compensation into the plugin. I can quickly show you the list here. So we have a bunch of headphones we support, 50 overall. And of course, these are optimized with our headphone compensations. But in general, you can still use every other headphone, which has a more or less linear frequency response.
Great.
I think you can also say, if you, for example, like the colorizations of your headphones, if you open it up again, then you disable it or select none, then you still have the spatial cues of it. If you want to have like the optimal target curve to mix, then we optimized or filtered each different headphone model to target that curve. So it's something you can decide, or maybe switch between both. That might also work.
So a quick question. You've obviously been kind and generous enough to allow us to give away a copy of, I'm just so used to giving away plugins, a pair of Sennheiser headphones. Is that in the list of profiles?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, HD 400 Pro, it's here, of course.
So if you're just joining us, we are here with D-Reality talking about binaural spatial audio and Ambisonics and their plugins and how they help facilitate the use of those technologies, and we're going to give away a pair of headphones and some plugins along the way. And to be entered to that, all you need to do is be active and positive in the chat. Keep the questions coming at Plugin Boutique with those so we can get highlighted and answer those on stream today. Also, we're running a poll if you want to take part and let us know what the best day for these streams is for you. We want to hear it so we can keep it rolling. And by all means, Janis, continue with your presentation.
Yes, thank you. As I said, this is our virtual control room. One important thing to mention is this is an idealized representation of a control room. So we built this control room basically from scratch. So every wall we simulate here is set by us because there is no such thing as a perfect control room. You always have like a table, mixing desk, something like that. You have reflections in there that you don't want to have in a perfect environment, but of course there is no perfect environment. But of course in this virtual studio, we have the ability to do that. So we didn't just go into the studio, capture an IR and put it into the plugin, but we designed the room as good as we could. And it also allows us to customize the room a little bit. So if we go to the scenes down here, you can see we have 3 different rooms in DVR Mix. It's Mix Room A, Mix Room B. These have slightly different reflection patterns and reverbs. And also an analytic dry, which is basically the only the spatial cues working for you. So
it's a bit like if you would be mixing in an anechoic room.
Yes, exactly.
Where there's no room or reflection at all, which is mostly not something you want for mixing. But sometimes if you really want to be analytic and only hear the signal coming out of the virtual speakers, this will help you a lot.
Exactly. And we can also adjust ambience and focus. So ambience is like the room experience you want to hear. So if you want a little bit more reflections and reverb, you turn it to experience. And if you want a little bit less of that, you go to neutral. And focus does the same thing for the spatial cues. So if you go into the localized direction, you will hear a better localization of the different sounds. But the thing with HRTFs is if you add them, they color the sound. So if you have a lot of HRTF sound in here, your sound sources might sound a little bit harsh, and you can compensate that with going into the clarity direction. You will lose localization in this direction, but you will get a more natural sound of it.
I think that's always in the last 9 years or even more spatial audio product development. It's always this balance between effect, the perfect localization that you want to create for these virtual speakers, or the perfect flat sound. And sometimes these work against each other, even for monitoring. So we said, okay, let's enable the user to decide what he currently wants to focus on. That's why we created
it's a trade-off, really. Yeah.
Can you go ahead and play some audio and maybe let us hear all of those things in action?
Yeah, I will do that.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable.
Let's quickly refresh this drum reverb.
Kids, I guess, but it's
So is that on the master channel then?
This is on the master channel. You will put it on the master channel so you can hear your whole production in your virtual control room. That's the basic concept of that.
Got it.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can, but who gives a shit? Holding on to the memory. So many days I wish it never had come to this. I hope he doesn't love a lot like me. I hope you found what you're looking for, whatever.
Especially on the focus, you can really hear the sound of the HRTFs if you go to localized. Yeah. And you kind of lose it a little bit when you go to clarity. To just the sound goes more into your head then, and it's not really in front of you.
Are those
Oh, do we-
speakers clickable and movable? I want to click those and move those for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, with the head rotation knob, you can indirectly move them. Currently not visually, but
Unfortunately, not clickable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
it's not a 3D rendering, a live 3D rendering. But of course, we can do it sound-wise. Let's make sure we don't have headphone compensation
yes.
on. Oh, no, okay,
It's on none.
Perfect.
because we have all different headphones currently. But yeah, maybe let's take a look
Yes.
at the head rotation.
Yes, exactly. So these basically, virtually rotate your head. So if I go to the left, the sound will go to the right. That's what we basically heard in the beginning. And yeah, I will just move it around.
Before you do
once
that,
more.
though, let me just ask you a
Yes.
quick question. If right now, before you do this, I close my eyes and listen, what I should hear is as if I'm turning my head, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, I'm
So
going
if-
to do that. Well, everybody who's watching chat, do it with me. We're going to close our eyes, and we're going to listen to fully soak in this experience right now. I'm really excited.
If you want to do that, I will move the head rotation to the left, so to 90 degrees. So maybe you can just join me in turning the head 90 degrees and then listen to it.
Let's not overcomplicate it. The chat is...
All right, okay. I will
All right,
do
let's
that.
go for it. I'm closing my eyes. Here we go.
Kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can, but who gives a shit? Holding on to the memories.
Right.
So many days I wish it never had come to this. I hope it
So this has got to do, there's a function in Spotify, right, for podcasts that utilize this sort of technology where if I've got like Apple headphones in and I do turn to the left, it will make it sound like they've stayed over
Yes,
like where I
exactly.
was looking before. How does that integrate at all with what we have here, that sort of automated process, or is that a whole different thing?
From a technical point of view, it's basically exactly this. So Apple also tracks the rotation of your head, and if you turn your head, the Apple headphones will know that, and then push the audio like on the other direction, so that it stays in front of you.
So if I had a motion sensor and I had it like to automate the head rotation parameter, and as I moved it, it did that. That's exactly what would be happening with the Spotify.
It's happening. It's the same thing. What happens in the Apple headphones, but unfortunately, they are not. You cannot use your Apple headphones with this parameter. So it's not like.
Yeah, I'd have to
you
like
can
make a
connect-
custom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Apple
you
would need
shouldn't,
to.
you shouldn't use that function from Apple also for virtual mixing because its main purpose is really for consumers than for really professional monitoring your mix. And of course, I mean, we have like different rooms that you can select. Maybe we can also take a look into that.
Yeah, after the mixing stage, of course, we can get into our check scenes because after mixing, you usually want to do like check your mix on various systems. And in this plugin, we offer that to have like a virtual car, a virtual club, something like that. So if you want to listen to a representation of a car, you don't need to go into your car and play your mix there. Maybe you still want to do that, but you don't necessarily need that because we have that incorporated right here, and we can quickly skip through these scenes once more to just give you an impression on how they sound.
Maybe we start with the studio and
Oh
then
yeah, we can start with the studio and
here's the
then
difference.
switch over to the car and the club and whatnot.
kids, I guess, but it's left me vulnerable. Now I don't know where you are, but if it matters, I'm sorry I was so inconsiderate. Now I don't know who I am, wish I could do it again. I've done the best that I can, but who gives a shit? Holding on to the memory. So many days I wish it never had come to.
The kitchen is the worst. I mean, a lot of glass, so it's acoustically problematic. But I mean, it's worth to check it out.
It's
How
supposed to be that.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to check it in a place where it's
I think the
not
home
acoustically
theater
good.
was the one that threw out some bass.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Liked it.
what you would. In a,
I got a few more
part.
questions if you want to go through them.
Yes.
Yeah.
My channel, great username, says, is it fully automatable? And I have a follow-up to that. Would you want to automate anything outside of the head rotation?
Yeah. In fact, it's not automatable. So this was, of course, a discussion we discussed many times, and we decided to not make it automatable because it's a monitoring tool. It's not like a creative tool. So as we mentioned, there are spatializers that, of course, you have to automate. But in this case, if you're like in auto, latch, whatever mode, you don't want any parameter to be recorded because you just quickly check stuff there. And so it's currently not automatable.
Exactly.
Also, even the head rotation, because we might come later into that with the monitor plugin. The monitor plugin with virtual many speakers around you can be connected to our virtual reality controllers where you will have head tracking in it. So that might interfere with any automations that you have written there. So
what about
that's reason.
the Exoverb? Is that automatable?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
That might have been a question
Yeah.
from that section, so that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Completely.
Any parameter you see here, you can automate, of course. Yeah.
Brilliant. Someone's wondering, Super Mauser is wondering, can you input room settings from Waves plugins because they've modeled like every hall in the world? Yeah.
No, as Janis already said, we decided not to go that path, like taking a romantic studio where there have been perfect recordings and so on. We really decided to create a room that is, in the real world not possible, which is nice because then you can do acoustic treatments that would be very, very expensive or even not possible. So we did do these acoustic treatments for the perfect listening or reference mixing room that are not in a real world studio. So this is like our approach. So the answer is unfortunately no, there are like other tools for that.
Gotcha. Wonderful. So what's up next? Are we going for the 7.1?
We will head over to our 7.1.4 session. Yes, exactly.
While we're heading over there, if you're coming in late, be on time next time. Just kidding. Everybody's busy these days. But do join us when you can. Today we're with Dear Reality, checking out their plugins available in Plugin Boutique right now, specifically the binaural, ambisonics, and spatial audio technologies they've had, which are just fantastic. And we're about to check out something that should be rather impressive, in my opinion. And but if you're also just joining us, we're doing some giveaways, some plugins, and some Sennheiser headphones that Dear Reality have been gracious enough to allow us to give away today. And to win, all you need to do is be active in the chat. You can @ Plugin Boutique with your questions. We'll try to get them answered live with Dear Reality here on the stream today. And with that, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. I love all those speakers. I actually just want a good pair of white speakers. Don't they just look better than I like? It's all.
Neumann
KRKs,
actually
I
released
suppose.
white speakers, so you can if you want.
What's that? You've got white speakers.
Neumann released white versions of the speakers actually.
And how much are those?
Yeah. No, I mean, of course there are some similarities optically, but I mean the main goal of this plugin, similar to the mix version, is like the bigger version is to, of course, also simulate stereo if you want, but also tackle all these Dolby Atmos formats or any multi-channel formats that are out there currently, and that simulates it properly. So we have like similar feature set. And I think the most important part is here that we really want to simulate what you would hear after your Dolby Atmos production, whatever. But we might come into that when Janis gives us a quick introduction on the tool.
Yes, all right. So as you can see, it looks quite similar to DVR Mix because it is the bigger version, basically. As you can see, a lot of multi-channel input setups are visible here. If I often get a question, why are some of them grayed out? It's because the channel does not support more than, or this channel I use here does only support 12 channels, so bigger ones are not available. But if you create a channel that is big enough, then of course these are available. Yes, some more details that changed. We have another mix room large here. We have an analytic position edit here and some more check scenes. They are all available here. Ambience focus stay the same. HP compensation is also the same. And now the head rotation really has a much better purpose because, of course, we not only have speakers in front of us, but also in the back. And if you want to check the balance not only between left and right, but also between front and back, you can do that very easily by turning your head again. And this helps a lot when you work in this surround field.
Especially since there is sometimes a problem of front-back confusion. You don't know that it's from the front or the rear. For that, usually your brain does a small movement, whatever, and this is something you can simulate with a head rotation.
Exactly.
Or even just here between front and back. That's very helpful.
Yes, exactly. To give you a quick overview of the session, you can see here's a lot of stuff going on. I have a Dolby Atmos session set up here. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. To give a quick overview, Dolby Atmos is split into a Dolby Atmos bed, which are usually the first 10 channels of the Dolby Atmos audio, which is basically a 7.1.2 loudspeaker stream. And then you have added to that different objects, which are a mono or stereo track with an added metadata, which transports the localization of the object in this stream. So I will just play the session a little bit to give you an impression what we are dealing with here. And as you can see, lots is going on in the 7.102 bed, but some of the information is also incorporated in this. These are, for example, the percussions. You can then see the different objects in this screen. And now the DVR monitor really has a good purpose because the 7.1.4 stream, how would you listen to that on your headphones? It's like really difficult if you only have 2 channels. So we use the 7.1.4 stream, which is thrown out of the renderer here, and we take that into monitor, and then the binaural stream of the 7.1.4 is sent out of the DAW. And to quickly show how we can deal with the front-back problem.
Maybe one thing, if you can show the Dolby RMU again.
Yes.
I think one thing that sometimes might be confusion, why do you send a 7.1.2 bed with only 2 speakers above you in it, but monitor or play out 7.1.4? That's mainly the reason for these objects that we will look into, because they will be positioned like everywhere or in the 7.1.4 setup that you select as an output format in the Dolby RMU. That's why we have these 2 different formats. The bed will then, of course, be placed appropriately, and in that case of your bed, the 2 speakers from above will be positioned on the 4 speakers then.
Yes, exactly. All right. To cover the front-back thing, I have one part in the end where we have it in the front and the back. So we have vocals in the front and the back, and I will just turn the head so you can really hear that it is in the front and the back and not just in front. And this is the kind of confusion that can arise with HRTF if you don't use the head rotation. Because in the front and the back you don't have any time differences or level differences. You only have the spectral cues, and sometimes the brain is not so sure whether it is the front or the back. And with the head rotation you can add these level differences and time differences again. And that's why it is very important to use it.
Maybe what is also interesting is compared to the mix version that we already skipped through the different scenes Janis already showed. Maybe we can listen a bit to the song again and then switch a bit through the other scenes that you haven't heard that yet.
Yes, of course. I will start with the mix room large because we didn't cover that one, and then I will switch over to the other check scenes. And I will turn the head again. So again, a lot of different places where you can check out your mix in.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So you've just played, I think Stadium was one of the presets you just went through, or profiles rather.
Yeah.
How does, why would there be speakers, I guess, behind me?
Absolutely. No, that's a totally fair question. Of course, some of these scenes make more sense in stereo, which you can also select in Monitor. So Monitor is also a great tool to mix in stereo. So of course, Stadium, I would propose to mostly use with stereo input because, it doesn't make sense too much. I mean, there might be some stadiums, I don't know, Kraftwerk concerts in 3D, whatever, but I totally admit. I mean, we in fact, we also talked about that, but we didn't want to kind of prevent the user from doing that. But of course, it makes more sense with Stadium, with stereo line array simulated in front of you.
Definitely.
Cool.
All right. Are there any more questions about maybe also the Dolby Atmos workflow or something like that?
We got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
What's the most novel use of spatial audio you have seen to date from some musical artists or other creatives? And that's Yiggity Yo. Another great username, by the way. Love that.
I think that's when I already mentioned Dolby Atmos and Apple Music, and 1.5 years ago was a big bang because it was the biggest spatial audio drop to the biggest audience so far, with lots of users. And I mean, there are many albums being produced in Dolby Atmos right now. And I have to admit, even though, as always, the old albums were even better, but I have to admit the Coldplay, the latest album, works pretty well in Dolby Atmos. So you can really hear it was produced for Dolby Atmos and not just, there is Dolby Atmos, let's upmix it after it was already done. So I can highly recommend that. I think there was also this Rammstein album created in Dolby Atmos. Some criticized it, but of course it has some experimental parts. I think, as always, we always have to, as with special effects in movies in the 80s, that's always my analogy. In the 80s, they were just doing them because they were new and you could, but maybe you shouldn't have done it from the storyline or whatever. And I think we currently leave the 80s currently, so partly stuff is being done just because you can, and now we enter a phase in spatial audio, and especially Dolby Atmos mixing, where it makes sense where you position stuff and maybe position it a little bit more tighter if it makes more sense, and not just try to do it because you can. That's I would say, and I think that's in this Coldplay album they've done it pretty nice, I would say.
All right. One other question here. Maestro DL Styles, or Maestro, I believe that's how that's pronounced. He's mixing, or they're mixing a 9.1.6 in their project. Will the control room monitor an ADM master file? And how does it translate to a real 9.1.6 room?
So I'm not sure if he uses, I guess he uses Nuendo for that one. So of course the Dolby ADM renderer is currently already before DiRVR Monitor. So
I think he needs to produce with Pro Tools because the Nuendo one doesn't have 916.
Okay, yeah. So maybe if he's on Pro Tools, then of course Pro Tools currently doesn't have an internal RMU, so it's like an external app that you might know from the workflow. So for that, we have like a workaround where you need to put DiRVR Monitor in a plugin application, something like Gig Performer or something like that, where you route the audio from the Dolby, the external Dolby RMU that is coming after Pro Tools into, and there you can directly monitor it. So this is unfortunately the workaround. I mean, in Nuendo, in Logic, we have these internal RMUs with ADM, but these are, I think.
As you can see, we do have the 916 available in DiRVR Monitor, but you have to get the signal into it with an external plugin host like Gig Performer, for example.
So what DAWs would you suggest using with these? I mean, are there some to maybe stay away from, or is it going to work in everything?
No, I would definitely say, I mean, the biggest spatial audio DAWs that were the earliest one with Dolby Atmos support are definitely Nuendo, Pro Tools, Pyramix. Of course, Reaper is like the most thing where you can do everything, and of course you can use an RMU. They don't have an internal RMU, but you can also do a workflow with that with an external RMU. But I would say these three with Logic together are the most important ones currently. I would say. Did I miss one of?
No, I would just say, I mean, we develop a plugin. We don't care in which DAW you want to use it.
But we have to test it in all of them.
Yeah, we do test it in all of them. So,
so I hope that answers your question, Pavone, about Reaper. Can it export an XML file of all the settings used? Super Mauser is wondering.
An XML output of DiRVR Monitor? I guess so, right?
That is the only.
That's
all I have.
Maybe he means like a preset file that he might create in Reaper if he saves the preset. I'm not sure if it's an XML or YAML file, whatever. But maybe he has to reach out to support, and then we might help him.
Yeah, maybe clarify that a little bit more.
Find on our website a formula and.
All right, Super Mauser, if you want more info on that, reach out to Dear Reality's support team, and they'll hook you up. One other question from Lewis996 is, what's the difference, I guess maybe the principal differences between VR Monitor and VR Mix?
Yeah, I think as we mentioned, Monitor is like the first version we released, like the big version for multi-channel and stereo and mono, of course. With all the scenes that you've seen there. And the main difference is definitely the speaker setup. So Mix only has mono and stereo and a few less scenes. I would say that's the main difference, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to work in multi-channel, you absolutely have to get Monitor to be able to work with that. And if you only do stereo productions and you don't need all the check scenes and not all the mix rooms, then DiRVR Mix is the one to go.
Yeah.
And I mean, which one suits for you, you can find it out. Of course, there's a 14 days trial in it. So just try it out, which suits you. And if the scenes in Mix are enough for you, or if you need more scenes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was all the plugins, yeah?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah,
would
for
say.
now. Absolutely. I mean, I know there's more to come. And we, as I say to all my guests, we'll definitely have you on anytime you want or have something new to show. The community eats this stuff up, and we like to give it to them. We like to feed them. So just everybody in the chat, this is your last opportunity to maybe fire off a question, be entered to win the giveaway, and also take part in that poll to let us know the best day to do these streams. Do you have another plugin that will be on Plugin Boutique possibly in the near future? What's that plugin about, if you just want to take the time to mention that real quick while we're wrapping up?
Wow, okay. We might do pre-announce. I mean, there might be other versions of Exoverb coming in the future. So this is definitely something that will be on Plugin Boutique. But and also another plugin, but I wouldn't spoiler too much so far. But yeah, that's all I can say so far.
Thought I didn't. I wasn't trying to get you to leak some classified information. I thought there was a plugin available on your site that you're trying to migrate over with like the.
Oh yeah. You mean not a plugin, but I mean we have like this virtual reality controller.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's like an app like where you're able to mix in VR. So you have you need a VR headset like an Oculus Quest 2 or whatever. You also need a PC for now. I mean, Apple will come up with something soon, but for now VR only takes place in Windows. But if you also have a Mac, then you can use the VR headset with your PC and connect that through Wi-Fi with your Mac and control Reaper on Windows with this VR controller. So I don't know if we have a video or maybe we show it on the website. So you really have controllers. You are in a virtual space. You see all the sound sources that you usually see in this panel.
Yeah, I can open up this panel, and basically what you do is you control these kind of sources in a 3D mixed environment, because doing it on a 2D screen is a little bit tedious, especially when it comes to automation and stuff like that. It's a little bit difficult to get that going quickly on a 2D screen. And with the VR headset, you basically grab the single sound source and let it fly around your head as you wish.
And if you already own Monitor, it directly connects with Monitor, so you can hear how the mix will translate into your 7.1.4 mix, for example. We have a virtual cinema where you are visually, and then you see the sound sources. If you mix for a movie, you see the car moving from left to right, then you also see the sound source or move it intuitively. So yeah, it's a very special workflow, but I would say we should do another stream when we bring it to Plugin Boutique.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, that sounds super interesting and something I would love to see in action. And I'd love to be, I mean, this is one of the, you'd have to put on is that what you have
headset.
to put? Yeah. So I would love to do that demo. That seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that might also be a more in-person thing. So as we found out, it's
possible.
Not too far to UK. So let's see if we'll do a session together and show it to you in real life.
That, I'm telling you, that would be amazing if you came down and we hung out and you watched me fall over inside of it.
We won't scare you. It won't take too long, and it's not too much movement. This is mostly where the problem with VR comes. A lot of movement or roller coasters. This is very stable. The only thing that's moving is the sound sources, and you have the overview of that. So yeah, it would be pretty nice to see you trying it out and mixing a track with it.
I look forward to it. I'm going to hold you to it as soon as I'm down there and got it set up. So yeah, we've got some names of random people who were active and pleasant in the chat today. I think we're going to go ahead and give away 3 plugins, and then one grand prize winner is going to get the Sennheiser HD 400 Pro headphones. So I've got 10 names here, gentlemen, and perhaps let's get the grand prize winner out of the way. If you can give me a number between 1 and 10 randomly, that person is going to be a very happy person. Yeah. So what's your favorite number between 1 and 10?
I think they're typically people choose 7 or 3, but I would choose 1.
Nice.
There you go. No one goes for 1. That's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. Oh, that person's going to be pumped. So I'll announce that person last. But now let's do 3 other numbers between 2 and 10, please.
All right, then I will do 8, 6, and 10. Just even numbers.
8, 6. Oh, come on.
We are the Glücksfee. I don't know the translation of that. Lucky.
All right, so we got some winners. I'm going to go ahead and announce them. The winner of Exoverb today, and by the way, everybody say thank you in the chat for Dear Reality giving us these to give away to you. Christoph Schaefer, you're winning Exoverb. You're walking away with Exoverb. If your name is called, all you need to do is email support@PluginBoutique with what you won, your name, and a screenshot of you logged into your YouTube account so we can verify it's you. The winner of Dear VR Mix is Maestro DL Styles. DR Mix. Perfect. And the winner of Dear VR Monitor is Daniel Seidon, or Sidon, Sidon. Congratulations. And ladies and gentlemen, the moment we're all waiting for. Oh, I got to put mine. Drum roll, please. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Spatialized from the right side.
The winner of Sennheiser HD 400 Pro headphones and a copy of Dear VR Monitor is DJ Ride.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for not only coming on the stream today, but being just the bringers of knowledge today. I've learned a lot. I'm excited to get hands-on with your plugins now that they're on Plugin Boutique. And, yeah, just being stellar. You look so, again, it looks like a radio studio over there, and it's just nice to be working with such professionals. But with that, was there any other final comments you wanted before we leave it there?
Yeah, a radio studio with a KE100 dummy head you might see in the back.
He's looming. He is looming and staring and making me uncomfortable.
I mean, he was like the first spatial audio product out there in the 70s when Neumann released it. And it's still like a big reference also for this binaural sake. So we're happy to have him around. And yeah, that's a nice colleague here.
All right, well, thanks again for joining us. I mean it, the door is open. Next time you've got something you want to show us, show the community, and definitely once the studio is up and running in Brighton, we'll have you down and we'll throw those VR headset on me and watch me go to work in the virtual environment. I'm really looking for. I have yet to try VR. I think I tried it one time maybe 4 years ago, so it's probably progressed quite a bit in that time, and I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely progressed.
But Joshua, also thank you so much for having this. Also, as I already mentioned, for everyone, thanks a lot for joining, and please try out the trials for all the 3 products. Give us feedback on the support form. We're pretty active, usually answer within 24 hours if it's not a weekend. So we are very happy also to stay in contact with everyone interested in that. Or also check out the social media channels that might be connected with Plugin Boutique. So very happy to be here and join this stream today.
Perfect. All right, thanks to both of you. I will let you go. Thanks to everybody in the chat, being active, being positive. And I'm Joshua Casper with Plugin Boutique, and we will see you in the next stream.
Ragamuffin keeps striving in every way. International, what they call we international. When me ride palm rhythm in the move, but the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. Party me on the place where they want Jamalski. sit up on the rhythm and I open the mic incredible. I'll be right behind the rhythm, move with the rhythm, I sit down, steady. Every ragamuffin you do, I feel rock and follow me. Jump up on the rhythm, make we ride it right. Chat up on the mic and keep it international. Cause anytime we chop a mic, they call we give it a general. International, when me ride palm rhythm and I move with the rhythm and I come down crucial. And me ride palm rhythm and then we sit down steady. For the men on the place I with the one Jamal street.